next speaker this morning, our next inspirer, is an expert not only in intercultural communication, particularly with Asia, but also, and particularly for us today, in chaos and how to bring progress out of chaos. Please welcome Bruno Marion.
My passion in life is to discover, understand, and share patterns. So for the past 25 years, I've been traveling around the world once a year to discover new patterns. And I think I discovered a big one. This world, our world, has become chaotic. And this is changing everything. Everything in our private life, everything in our business life. When I first discovered that, I panicked. I'm an engineer, the type of control freak one, so I thought, this is not for me. This world is not for me. But then I discovered that chaos doesn't mean disaster. It doesn't mean mess. It actually means order emerging from chaos. This is a new way, a more realistic way to look at the world. And I would like to share it with you today. I would like to show you how this new way of looking at the world can mean success, but also fun today. But first, how and why this world has become chaotic. How many people were living on this planet 150 years ago? Approximately 1 billion. This little white dot up there, this is my house. 1 billion 130 years ago. 3 billion just 30 years ago. How many people today? About 7 billion. A dramatic, an unbelievable increase. How many people are living in cities today? About 50%. So not only there are more and more people, but they are living more and more together. Look at all this yellow dot moving. They are actually planes. So people are meeting each other in big cities, but they are also traveling across their countries and across the globe to meet each other. How many mobile phones? Approximately 5 billion. Not only that, 2 billion people are connected to internet, and more every day. So to summarize that part, we can say that in 30 years, the world population doubled. We put half of it in big cities, and more are connected every day. More people, more connection. This is actually the prerequisite for a chaotic world. So what does happen in a chaotic world? Well, first, usual boundaries disappear. Let's look at markets. 30 years ago, depending on your social class, you would go to a luxury shop or to a cheap supermarket. Nowadays, you may go in the morning to a very expensive luxury shop to buy some macaroons, and 10 minutes later, you may go to a hard discount store. Same for flying. Depending on your social class, 30 years ago, you would travel first business or economy class. Today, you may travel business on Monday, and for your weekend, you may buy a low-cost ticket. Usual boundaries are disappearing. Look at this map. This is the world according to Samuel Huntington, who wrote The Clash of Civilization. According to him, every color is a different civilization. This map looks a lot like most marketing departments are seeing the world. I think this world doesn't exist anymore. My world, I think your world is more like this. Let's take another example with customers. Maybe today in China, in the middle of China, you have cosmetic customers who know more about cosmetic products than most consumers in Europe. And at the same time, in the middle of China, you have consumers buying their first cosmetic product, usual boundaries are just disappearing. Another thing is happening in a chaotic world. A small event can have a dramatic effect. Who knows this guy? Mr. Snowden, an unknown subcontractor for NSA, is basically in a couple of months changing the world policy. Look at this picture. An unknown blogger in China started to zoom on expensive watches that Chinese officials were wearing. That is looking for corruption. In 1 year, the first luxury watch market, China, dropped between 20 and 30%. Small event, big effect. This is called, in chaos theories, the butterfly effect. Look at the CD industry. Within 5 years to 7 years, it dropped about 70%. Small event, big effect. But it's not only things collapsing, because at the same time, iTunes was emerging. But not only iTunes, look at this company, Google, Facebook, Skype, all these companies didn't exist 10 years ago. So what can we learn from chaos theories if this world has become chaotic? Well, first, chaos is not good or bad. Chaos is the status of a system. Like water, which can be solid, ice, liquid, or a gas, a system can be stable, balanced, oscillating, or chaotic. Let's look at that more precisely. A system can be stable, balanced. Typically, death is a perfect, stable, and balanced system. Nothing moves. Hopefully, your chair also is stable. It doesn't move. But then the system can start to oscillate. If you push the chair, it will oscillate. And as long as you push it, it can oscillate. If you stop pushing it, then it will come back to balance. There is what we call negative feedback. In this case of the chair, mechanical resistance. It's like a heater. If it's too hot, the heater will stop. If it's too cold, the heater will start again. This is called negative feedback. You can also call that control. What we learn from chaos theories is that at a certain point, the system can go out of control. Here, you don't have control. You don't have negative feedback anymore. You actually have positive feedback. That would be like a crazy heater. If the room is too hot, it would put more heat. Let's take a practical example today. I can say, the more people on Facebook, the more people on Facebook. If there is only all of us in this room on Facebook or a new social network, nobody is interested to join. But if there are 100 millions of people joining, then everybody wants to join. The more people on Facebook, the more people on Facebook. Positive feedback. This is also where you have the butterfly effect. Because of positive feedback, a small event can have a big change in the output. So we have learned that like water can be solid, liquid, or a gas, a system can be stable, oscillating, or turbulent. So at that point, you may wonder, what's next? What happens to the system when it became chaotic? Well, two things can happen. First, let's start with the bad news. The system can collapse. Think about the CD industries. But it's not only about CD industries. What is the first city in the world that reached 1 million people, which is a good indicator of the level of complexity of that time? This is Rome. It is said that within 50 years, Rome population dropped from 1 million to approximately 50,000. A big collapse. So now let's look at the good news. And I would like to concentrate on good news today. The system can also have what we call a breakthrough. a new system, a new order emerge from chaos. Think about the new company, iTunes, Google, Facebook, which emerged in the past 10 years. Think about the universe. This is how a new universe emerged from the Big Bang. Think about how many chaotic winds can actually form a big typhoon. You can also call that emergence, this breakthrough, metamorphosis. A new system, a more complex system emerged. A new order emerged from chaos. Another thing we can learn from chaos theories, in a chaotic system, things tend to organize themselves in what we call a fractal. Anybody knows what is fractal? I always try to find an easy way to define what is a fractal. So one day I went to a kid's classroom, I showed them fractal images and I asked them what is their definition. So I'm going to show you their definition. You draw a circle, then smaller circles, then smaller ones, then smaller ones. This is actually called a Mandelbrot set from Mr. Mandelbrot. Another one. There is a cross in the cross in the cross in the cross. This is also actually a way to show you how you can design yourself a fractal image. Another one. You cannot measure how long it is. It never ends. Look at that one. If you want to start to measure it, it never ends. It never stops. So, things tend to organize themselves in a chaotic world in fractal. And nature is giving us many examples. Look at these ones. I hope now, when you will look at your markets, you will be able to recognize nice fractal images. So what have we learned so far? First, a system can be balanced, stable, oscillating, or chaotic. And after that, two options: collapse, breakdown, or emergence of a new system a new order out of chaos. We have learned the sensitivity to what we call initial condition, small event, big effect, butterfly effect. And now you know how to recognize fractal. I'm quite sure when you leave this room, you will start to see fractals everywhere. So how can we apply this to our life and to our own organization? Well, first, in a stable environment, you can have a stable organization, typically a pyramidal organization. But this doesn't work in a chaotic environment. In a chaotic environment, maybe you should do like nature and have a fractal organization. Look at what Women's Global Leadership Initiative is trying to do with their own organization. Autonomous, but well-connected cells of different sizes. Also, in a stable environment, the big word is command and control, like the heater. But this does not work in a chaotic environment. Look at appraisal. Think about your objectives set 1 year ago. How do they look today? In a stable environment, you can set objectives and check them 1 year later. This is called control. But in a chaotic environment, because things are changing every day, it doesn't make sense anymore. In a chaotic environment, forget about control. You should go for regulation processes. Instead of having and wasting your time in appraisal meetings, maybe you should go for training sessions, coaching sessions. In a company called Zappos, the world online shoe store, every time you connect to your PC, every morning, a randomly chosen picture of another Zappos employee shows up with some details. This is a way so you can know more people in the company. Why not have a social concierge in your company? A person whose job would be to make sure you can find the right person, typically when you need to create a new team, to solve a new problem or create a new product. Not long ago, I was delivering a seminar in Sophia Antipolis, 10 minutes from here. And one day, they asked me if I could finish the seminar earlier because they had a very important company meeting. So I say, yeah, fine, no problem. After packing, on my way down, I took the elevator and I pushed the wrong button. I stopped at the first floor. When the doors opened, I just discovered the whole company on an empty floor having their weekly roller skating contest. I believe playing, gaming is going to be a major regulation process. How much do you play in your company? Maybe you should have gamers, gamificators, people whose job is to make sure that there is enough play within each cell and in between cells in your fractal organization. One last example. In a stable environment, to be successful, you need big guns, big money, big marketing campaigns. But because of the chaotic environment, because of the butterfly effect, we have seen this doesn't work anymore. It doesn't make sure, at least, that you will have success. In a chaotic environment, you cannot control. In a chaotic environment, you should look for your pioneers. You should concentrate on your small butterflies, and maybe you should have incubators. People whose job would be to search in your organization for people who are pioneers, people who will design the new product and services. Incubators will also make sure that they are protected from the rest of the organization. Well, now I hope you know why and how this world has become chaotic. I'm quite sure you know how to recognize fractals everywhere and that you want to implement a fractal organization with fun regulation processes. I hope you want to look for your pioneers. And as a conclusion, I hope that, like me, you know chaos is not the enemy. Actually, chaos is your friend. It means breakthrough and opportunities for success. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bruno. That was fantastic. And a fantastic way to end today's first session. We have another drawing from Eric to finish off. Thank you so much, Eric. I think we can also give a small round of applause for our illustrator, Eric Grelet.